matrix. There's no doubt that this is a difficult time to be alive, but the one thing we've drawn the line at is rich people harvesting the blood of the poor. What? No, okay, no, rich people are harvesting poor people's blood now. Hello there, you 5.3 million awakening wonders. It's been a fantastic week for us. We had a little tweet by Elon Musk. We got a fantastic, if distressing, story today about the harvesting of the poor's blood by, you've guessed it, it's the rich. And before we get into those stories, I want to tell you that I'm all over the UK. Next week, I'm performing in Carlisle. Make the trip. Come see me live. I'm also in places like Stockton-on-Tees, Plymouth, Bristol, Blackpool, Glasgow. The show is not just stand-up comedy. It's a live experience with meditation, breath work, questions and answers. There's a link in the description if you fancy coming. If you're not one of our subscribers already, please subscribe now and join us. Because look at some of the buzz around this channel. Stay to the end. You're going to love this video. This is Elon Musk replying to The Independent, who gave our channel a little bit of heat last week. With so many mainstream media companies saying at Rusty Rockets is crazy, dangerous, I watched some of his videos. Ironically, he seemed more balanced and insightful than those condemning him. The groupthink among major media companies is more troubling. There should be more dissent. That's from Elon Musk. While we are free, let's use our voices as we have them to communicate truth as best as we understand it, offering you news critique as best as I can with the limitations within which I live. So, for much of the world, donating blood is purely an act of solidarity. Yeah, sometimes you go there, don't you? You donate a little bit of blood, you feel good about it, you know it's going to people, your fellow humankind, that will benefit from this act of generosity and geniality. A civic duty that the healthy perform to aid others in need. The idea of being paid for such an action would be considered bizarre. But in the United States, it is big business. Indeed, in today's wretched economy, where around 130 million Americans admit an inability to pay for basic needs like food, housing or healthcare, buying and selling blood is one of the few booming industries America has left. That's where it's got to. The stuff of life, literal lifeblood, has become a commodity now. The number of collection centres in the United States has more than doubled since 2005, and blood now makes up well over 2% of total US exports by value. You're exporting blood in America. It's not even for other Americans. There's blood being sent off around the world. I remember the glory days when it used to be Coke and Levi jeans. Now it's actual blood. To put that in perspective, I don't know if you can put it in perspective. I mean, by the time you've got to the point of actual vampirism, which was, up until recently, considered a kind of metaphor that powerful abstracted figures up in the castle might take away your energy sources. Like, what is this now? Actual Matrix? Is it that we're actually in a battery surrounded by that sticky pink soap stuff? I thought it was just a metaphor. When it's actual vampires, the time to review our systems is upon us. I know some of you lot like Revelations and the Bible in general. Would you go and have a little check to see if it mentions there will be a point where they're selling their blood to each other? To put that in perspective, Americans' blood is now worth more than all exported corn or soy products that cover vast areas of the country's heartland. Bloody hell, while Bill Gates is buying up vast tracts of farmland, corn and soy is less commonly sold than your blood. You know what's next, don't you? Well, you know, we had to move into the blood industry. What's that behind you? Oh, it's just Bill Gates buying up some of my... The US supplies fully 70% of the world's plasma. It used to be plasma screens. Now it's just plasma. Mainly because most other countries have banned the practice on ethical and medical grounds. Oh, no, we couldn't just sell blood, could we, and plasma? Yeah, we actually could. Shall we then? Yes. Exports increased by over 13% to $28.6 billion between 2016 and 2017. And the plasma market is projected to grow rapidly. Unlike the population, who are looking a bit pale, according to one industry report. It's primarily the plasma, a golden liquid. I don't even like reading this very much. I do like hearing it. Like to have your anatomy broken down so pragmatically, literally as a resource. There are some people that find it abhorrent that we unthinkingly regard the earth herself as a kind of resource for mining and gas and, well, literally everything, I suppose, one way or another. But when it actually becomes mining yourself for your blood, while big tech mines your consciousness for your attention in order to modulate your behaviour, what is left? What bit of you is actual you right now? What is off bounds? What is off limits? Where is the line? When you're selling the golden liquid that transports proteins and red and white blood cells around the body. Golden liquid, you say, running coursing through my veins. Oh, that roll out $50 a pop, lovely golden fluid, granted to me by an unknown cosmic force that created reality as we know it. Get it while it's hot, it's lovely. Well, not hot, it's actually, literally, body temperature. Like all maturing industry. It's not a maturing industry, that's your body. And I don't like hearing the plasma market. That's the most disgusted I've been by a market since I heard of the wet market. Like all maturing industries, a few enormous companies such as Grifols and CSL have come to dominate the American market. But in order to generate such enormous profits, which is the point of life rather than blood, these corporations consciously target the poorest and most desperate Americans. Who would sell the precious golden fluid that's literally transporting red and white blood cells around your body? God, it's hard to think. I mean, you'd have to be desperate. Keep going. Poor, yeah, under continual economic pressure, yeah. So I suppose it's the poor and desperate. Get them on line one. I'm afraid they don't have phones. One study found that the majority of donors in Cleveland generate more than a third of their income from donating blood. I suppose you would, wouldn't you? I suppose you would. If times got so hard, the only thing that was left for you to sell was you. This is where I start to question our ideologies. I know that some of you feel like that free market capitalism is a good solution, and you are fearful of any entity that could impose regulation. I don't agree with big government. I don't agree with centralisation. I couldn't be further from believing that there should be some weird centralised technocratic government. I believe we should run our own communities. But when you get to this point in a narrative where the demands of capitalism create a situation where the only thing people have left to sell are themselves, maybe you need to look at different ideologies. Maybe we should be thinking about something besides the amount of profit we could generate. Sometimes I think when I'm in a hospital or whatever, God, shouldn't we be employing more people like that are just here doing counselling, that are helping, that are doing porterage, that are assisting? Couldn't we create more jobs? No, you can't create more jobs. Why? Because we have to maximise the profit. Right. So can't we address this constant need for maximisation of profit? Think about the other things that matter in your own life. Love, time, things that you're not going to get back. Blood. I mean, we already sell time. I suppose that's what a job is. But once you're selling the golden fluid, I didn't like reading that. It's made me feel unusual. Desperate Americans are allowed to donate twice per week. That's 104 times a year. But losing that much plasma could have serious health consequences. That's weird. What? Health consequences? Don't let that get in the way of the business model. Serious consequences, most of which have not been studied. Around 70% of donors experience health complications. Donors have a lower protein count in their blood, almost as if they're selling their blood, putting them at greater risk of infections and liver and kidney disorders. Many regulars suffer from near permanent fatigue, almost as if they're selling their blood, and are borderline anemic. Anemic, that's when you don't have enough, what? All this for an average of $30 per visit. They say you can't put a price on happiness, you can't put a price on love, but now you can put a price on blood. A common method of cheating in endurance sports is to inject extra blood into your system before a race, giving you a huge performance boost. But extracting it has the exact opposite effect, making you sluggish and tired for days. Thus, this debilitating practice is zombifying America's poor. I bet you're already in the comments below saying, I've been telling you about this for 10 years, that rich elites have been drinking the blood of the poor and the vulnerable, and that, if nothing else, sounds like the language of conspiracy theory. So, to find out that it's not only common practice, but a booming industry that's doing better than corn and soy, you'd be better off saying that corn and soy is a conspiracy. Corn, I don't believe in that, that's a conspiracy. Soy, that's a conspiracy. What other conspiracy theories are going to make their way through financial and technical language into the mainstream? I don't know. Hit me up in the comments below, let me know what conspiracies you think are going to be proven true in the next couple of weeks. But the exploitation of humans has reached new levels in clinics on the US-Mexico border. Every week, thousands of Mexicans enter the US on temporary visas to sell their blood to for-profit pharmaceutical corporations. Oh, the old pharmaceutical corporations. We've never had to query their actions before. They haven't had to be dragged through the courts on occasion after occasion for various forms of malpractice, then been granted a historic amount of power and control and indemnity in a time of great crisis. These are the very people, I'm assuming the same people, that are now profiting from poor people's blood. The practice is banned on health grounds in Mexico, but it's completely legal north of the border. Big Pharma is particularly interested in the blood of the young. One billboard campaign from Grifols intentionally targeted working-class students. Need books? No worries. Donate plasma, reads the headline. Bit poor? Life not going well? Hand over the good stuff. Teenager blood is in high demand in, of all places, Silicon Valley, where anti-aging technologies are the latest trend. Do you sometimes think there's some subtle ulterior energy that operates below the level of ordinary discernible reality is trying to tell us in increasingly metaphoric and poetically beautiful ways that something is wrong with the world and that we need to awaken? Because I sometimes think there's intelligence that's beyond human intelligence, even if it's our collective cultural intelligence, the kind of intelligence that leads to consistent myths with consistent themes and specific and particular experiences being played out. When you find that the blood of the poor and the young is being shipped to Silicon Valley, which essentially is the land of the giants now, if you want to give it a mythic framework. But if you read something in a storybook, the giants were stealing the blood of the young, you'd think, this is a bit far-fetched, but now you can just read that in the news. One company, Ambrosia, which is, again, that's the food of the gods in Greek mythology, charges $8,000 per treatment to aging tech executives, infusing them with the blood of the young. You know when it's something tangential, like, hold on a minute, but shouldn't private companies pay more tax because, they're using the labour force that have been educated at the expense of the state, or they're using roads that have been built with taxpayers' money, or infrastructure, or in the case often of pharmaceutical companies and tech companies, they're selling and marketing technologies that were evolved and developed using your taxpayer dollars. It's more abstract, isn't it? But now that it's actual blood, it's very difficult to go, yeah, but it's not really that, because big businesses, do you know what I mean? They're geniuses, they've done this themselves. This is the American dream. You could yourself be sucking on someone else's blood. Instead of complaining about all this blood suckery, why don't you get off your fat ass? Get off your fat ass and steal someone else's blood. Despite the fact there's no clinical evidence that the practice has any beneficial effects. They're just doing it for the fun of it now. There's no evidence it's effective. Yeah, no, but I just like seeing weak teenagers stumbling around Los Angeles. Makes me feel pretty tough. Business is booming. One committed customer is PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, who is reportedly spending vast sums of money on funding anti-aging startups. Thiel claims that we've been conned by the ideology of the inevitability of death of every individual. Oh yeah, that old con that life is transient and passes by. All these superstitions, don't walk under a ladder, watch out for magpies, don't drink young people's blood. They're holding us back, and believes his own immortality may be just around the corner. Well, there you are. We have war, we have plague, we have vampires. At what point do you think that you'll be ready to consider alternative political models? Some kind of libertarian anarchism where people run their own communities democratically, where power is decentralised wherever possible. Really, nothing more than actual democracy. And if that's too much to ask, can we at least stop rich people from drinking poor young people's blood? Or is that another thing to chalk off? No, we do that now. That's another thing we do. Anyway, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. If you're not already a subscriber, subscribe to our channel. Only 48% of you currently subscribe. Let's get that number up to 10 million. Was it worth staying to the end of this video? I hope so. If you enjoyed this one, have a look at this one or this one. Remember, I'm all over the UK on tour. Stockton-on-Tees, Carlisle, Blackpool, Bristol. Make the trip. Come see me. It's an incredible event. Please click to be on our mailing list so we can stay